Hello, lovelies. It is Heather from Creative Sage tuning in for dun, 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 day 12. Day 12 of our Enchanted Sparks oracle pull for the day, our daily pull, if you will. Can you believe it? How fast did 12 days just go by? I'm actually super excited because the further along we get into this, the more questions that seem to be coming up from you. And I'm so thrilled that you would actually take the time to reach out and give me the opportunity to invite you a little deeper into my world and clarify a few things for you. So, one of the biggest questions I get is to explain a little bit more clearly this whole idea of smudging and what exactly I'm doing here with all this plant medicine in front of me. So, while I'm explaining, I'm going to go ahead and light our charcoal disc, I should say. This is my preferred way to burn herbal incense or just herbs in general. You don't even have to call it incense. The idea of what I do before we get started and why I am burning things is because, let me move that out of the way for a second. What? Da-da-dum. I am a huge believer that everything in creation is sacred. So that means at some point along the way, I made a personal choice. And to be perfectly honest with you, most days I have to continue to make this choice over and over and over again in the face of very human things that sometimes happen. But I made a choice that since everything in nature is sacred, that it all must have a sort of a spiritual essence to it, if you will, or a soul. I believe that everything comes with its own energetic signature. And if we learn to tune into these different energies and work with them from a state of gratitude and in alignment with what our intention is, we have a beautiful sort of partnership in everything in nature, right? So I create various herbal blends based on what I love to call on from nature to work in alignment with my intention for the day. So when it comes to the Enchanted Sparks and being present each day to show up and pull a different card, I got as clear as I could about what sort of energy I wanted to call upon, what sort of plant allies I wanted to support and work with me, and what my overall intention was. And so I have this gorgeous, fragrant, earthy cornucopia of different things that after so many questions came up, I decided I should just make this blend available to you. So it is now a very exclusive Enchanted Sparks herbal blend. And I want to tell you, as I'm burning, a little bit about what's in here and how it can potentially best serve you. I think that if we walk through our days living from a place of knowing and choosing, really, because it is a choice, choosing to know that everything is sacred, whether that is the plants or the animals, the rocks, the trees, even our experiences, good, bad, or otherwise, it is all from the same point of origin, right? We all come from the same source or God energy, God space. So that would mean that it all began from a very sacred and holy place. And here we are in this existence together, and all of these things, our job, our responsibility, our blessing is really to learn how to call upon and work with the energy of all things. Yeah, I think it's all holy. And I think that we are better served and we live a more well-rounded, spiritual, and joy-filled existence when we can remember that everything in nature has shown up on our behalf as a complement to us, and as a tool. And it's reciprocal. So as we receive from nature, we also give back by honoring it and replanting and celebrating everything that shows up for us. So, okay, that being said, let me move this little blend out of the way. This will be available on my website for purchase. And you can burn it and utilize it exactly the way we're doing here, or whatever feels right for you. You can simply dump this into a beautiful little bowl that sits in your sacred space, that little container where you are doing your Enchanted Spark journaling work, or by all means burn it as an incense, as a way to sort of open up the container and begin to call in the right energy to create this sacred sort of environment for the work that we're doing. So I always start out with a little bit of white sage. Let me tip this guy back. And I either use a feather or my hand to move the smoke through. I love to put my hands in the smoke because white sage is such a beautiful cleaner. It is one of the sacred plants that we use to clear out all lingering energy. We thank whatever has been here, whether that means something sitting on our hearts or something in the space we are now occupying. We say thank you for its service, and then we imagine it going up into the smoke and off into the ether it goes. And then I also love to add a little bit of tobacco and some roses and some jasmine. This is what's in the blend that I've created for you as far as the Enchanted Sparks blend goes. Try saying that 5 times fast. Roses for unconditional love of self. A little bit of tobacco as a way of saying thank you for what we are receiving here today. Jasmine to honor the moon. A little bit of, there's some orange in there, since I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see it. Let me just show you that orange slice. Orange calls in the sun, so we say thank you to the moon and the sun for the energy and intention that it's bringing us and the perspective it offers. I have a little bit of cedar that we've tucked in there. Cedar is very ancestral medicine. It reminds us that we never walk alone. There are the shoulders of many that have helped to get you to this place today, generations that came before you. And so the cedar is a way of honoring those people and saying thank you. I have a little bit of lavender in here. And some styrax, some rosemary, and peppermint, and a few other proprietary elements that I love to add. The whole idea is we light this, we enjoy the aromatic aspect of it, and think of each of these elements as an ally to walk with us on this journey. And the smoke itself creates this beautiful bubble that I really do love to think of as a sacred container. So if you're going to be working with the Enchanted Sparks, let's just say it's become a part of your morning ritual. Perhaps you'll light a single candle and then go ahead and decide that you're ready to open this container. Sprinkle a bit of your aromatic Enchanted Spark blend on a charcoal disc. Let it smolder, and as that smoke fills up the space, you've created this beautiful environment where you can now sit down and begin to work with the energy and intention of the Enchanted Sparks. So I hope you enjoy that little blend. I wish you could be sitting here. It smells absolutely incredible and feels even better. So I definitely recommend, if it feels right, even if you don't burn the elements, you can just sit with them. They really do just sort of move into your heart and create this most beautiful environment for doing sacred work. So that being said, day 12 of our Enchanted Sparks card pull. I have spent quite a bit of extra time with this deck of cards this morning because it feels like there's a lot floating around out there. We've had a blizzard, basically lake effect snow all day today. And with the energy and intensity of blowing snow, it always feels a lot more than usual. So I wanted to spend a little extra time. Hopefully you have your journal ready and your magic wand, pen or pencil is available so that we can write down the first 3 things that come to mind after I turn over this card. Same question every day. The sparks are simply a means for opening up a dialogue. So as we're doing that, we like to ask questions in order to engage the highest self and begin to focus our energy on that which would love to be heard a little more clearly today, or perhaps to get you to shine a light in a shadow space that you've been avoiding, or maybe you haven't wanted to pay attention to. So the same question that we ask every day is, what would you have me know today? What would you, as the highest self, the voice of the divine, you with a capital Y, what would you have me know today? And as we ask that question, we breathe into it and we imagine the energy and the intention of that question moving from our heart, down our arms, into our fingers, onto the surface, and woven into every fiber of what these cards are made of. And then when it feels right, I love to kind of mush them around a little bit. Remember the memory game? You might be too young, but you would spread the cards out and then you would pick one up and then you would try and find the matching card. So as we're doing that, same question, what would you have me know today? And then when it feels right, I like to spread them out a little bit. And then, are you ready? Dun, da, da, da. I love this for today. Treasure. Deep breath. And immediately, without giving it any thought at all, what are the first 3 thoughts that pop into your mind when you see the word treasure appear on this beautiful little Enchanted Sparks card? Go ahead and write those down, or even just begin to put your pen to paper and doodle a little bit. I can tell you that the first thing that popped into my mind before, when I initially saw the word treasure, was the idea that some of the greatest things are not sitting on the surface, buried treasure. Sometimes we have to dig a little bit in order to expose the beauty of what lies beneath. What comes to mind in that situation, or as an example, would be a pearl. Think of how a pearl is created in nature. It is like banged up and tossed around inside that really dark shell. We can't see anything that's going on in there. And then all of a sudden one day, from all of the stuff that the clam has eaten and ingested, and it's been mushing around in the dark and sort of marinating a bit, all of a sudden that clam opens one day to reveal the most beautiful and perfect holy little pearl. And it's always gorgeous, and it's always this wonderful shape, and it's sort of a beautiful analogy for life. Sometimes we have to be able to come from a place of faith. We cannot see what the outcome will be. And I think I've talked about this a couple of other times in the last few card pulls. Eventually, we get to a place where we have to make a choice. Are you going to live each day from what you think should be happening and what you think the best possible outcome will be? Or are you going to lean into faith and know that you can, A, not see around corners? You cannot always see what is lingering in the shadows. You cannot see, like if you were unable to expand a lens, you're not able to see the bigger picture because you have become, in most cases, so focused on what you believe the outcome should be that you've actually missed the treasure that has been sitting at your feet just beneath the surface, waiting for you to notice it. So I think as we're spending a little time with this Enchanted Spark today, this is very specifically one of those cards that is an everybody card. There is no one that I know, at least in my wheel, in my world, that can't benefit from spending a little time trying to really excavate and lean into and dig through a little bit this idea of buried treasure. The dialogue that we are inviting to come forward, that dialogue with the most divine aspect of ourselves, that in and of itself is the most beautiful and brilliant and sacred treasure, but it's not something you can normally look into the mirror and see. We don't see words appearing in bubbles like we do in the comics. It's something that you need to tune in on a very deep level and say yes to. And oftentimes we get so bogged down in our humanity and experiencing the world in our human form that we forget to acknowledge the sacred soul, the spirit aspect of self that is also with us at every moment of every breath throughout the day. You were created that way, so it can never not be here. So if you feel called to it, I would spend a little time asking yourself, what does your buried treasure mean? Or is the treasure perhaps right in front of you and you're already seeing it? Are you grateful for it? Are you saying thank you and appreciating the wonder and miracle and blessing of this day? The treasure is everywhere. There's nowhere it's not. So you just need to decide to look a little bit more clearly through, I would say, more sacred vision versus human vision, and decide that you're going to see the treasure in all of it. So there you have it. Day 12, lots to think about today between our beautiful herbal blend that we had going and the environment and the energy that we have created here. And this beautiful card pull for the day, I would say we are surrounded and blessed with an exceptional, all sorts of kinds of treasure. It's always there for you. You just have to choose to say yes. So I would love, love, love to hear from you in the comments what showed up for you, what your initial thoughts were when you saw the word treasure. And I hope you spend a little time with it and see what continues to rise up and bubble up to the surface throughout the day. I thank you again for spending quite a bit of time with me today. Sorry, that ran a little over, but I felt like the herbal aspect of this and the energy of that was important for us to talk a little bit about, since so many of you had questions about it. Okay, that is it for this afternoon's Enchanted Spark Pull. I want you to remember that you, in addition to everything else that we've talked about, you are treasure as well. You are unconditional treasure. There is no aspect of who you are that is not treasure. So I hope that you remember that as you move throughout this day. I thank you again for being here, and I will see you tomorrow for day 13 of our Enchanted Sparks card pull. Until then, wishing you a beautiful afternoon full of bright, beautiful blessings. Thank you.